Round the fire, warm and bright, stocked up food for the night. Got our plans set in gold for the days when it's cold. Tools and gear stacked up high, in the cabin we reside, listening to the winds howl, prepping for the morning's prowl. At the purpose fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Prepper Fireside, and I'm joined today by two of our guests, one of which, it's Brian. No introduction needed. How you doing, Brian? Nope. You're muted. You're muted, Brian. You're muted. Can you hear me now? Oh, there we go. That's a good start. Let's start as we mean to go on here.
Buffering.
Ration Nerd, thank you for joining us on Fireside. How are you doing?
I'm well, man. How are you?
I'm not so bad. You had a good weekend?
I did. I just got back out of the woods, which is always good. I was camping, having a good time, testing some stuff, sleeping out in the cold.
Awesome. Is that going to make any prepper content for your channel, for the members area, maybe?
I mean, I didn't film anything while I was out there, if I'm being honest. So I guess that's kind of shitty, but I didn't film anything. I was just having a good time with some friends. So
that's the best way. In the comments, Brian will be back shortly, I'm sure, when he sorts his technical difficulties. In the comments, we've got Stuart Lonnans first in the room, says hi. Miss Worms there, moderating you all as usual, keeping you in check. So watch out for her, and she'll be posting links, no doubt, throughout this. Phil Hull says howdy, let battle commence. I don't think there's going to be any battles, just, conversations. Cheers. Chris 82 says hi. I'll get to some more comments as we go along. Guys, it's obviously a live chat between us three. I will get to as many comments as I can, but I can't always see them, so I apologize if I miss any. Brian, how are you doing? Should we try again?
Yeah, I gave up on the other screen, mate. So I'm on the emergency phone.
The picture's clearer on this one.
That's probably a bad thing. Do you want me to put Vaseline over it to spare the viewers?
I'm sure I've got some filters here.
That's a great way to start out. That's a great way to start a live chat, breaking out the Vaseline. I'm just saying.
Let's add some fun. Put some peanuts in it.
I mean, you might have to switch this to an OnlyFans broadcast and not YouTube. So just let me know when you guys are going to switch. I'll bow out gracefully. Have fun, y'all.
To be honest, mate.
Don't bow out gracefully. You've got nice, smooth, waxed legs, Ration Nerd. Just fit in.
Just one spot, though. Just one spot. If I probably wouldn't kick the camera stand over, I would try to throw that leg up just so you can see it. I still have this baby's ass smooth spot on my leg. It's fucking ridiculous. Worst decision ever.
I'm sure there's a story to this.
Have you not? You must go and check out his channel after this. Everybody, go and check out his channel after this. If you're not subscribed to Ration Nerd, awesome content and just a laugh. And if you're all bothered about PC and political correctness, don't. Other than that, go and check out his channel. But he's done a video where Mrs. Ration Nerd waxed his leg because he was doing a Brazilian ration, so he decided to do a Brazilian promotion.
Yeah, see, there's the hands on the forehead. That's the way I felt about it. I had this hysterically funny idea. This is going to be great. This is going to be great. It's going to be funny. Everybody will watch it. Nope, it's got 200 views. I ripped the hair off my leg for nothing, basically.
I made the mistake a long time ago when I was in the gym heavily. I got my back waxed, and it was an hour and 15 minutes. And I thought, well, I've had tattoos. It can't be any more painful than needles in the skin. I was so wrong. And given that I'm some sort of barely evolved monkey, right? I have a substantial amount of body hair. So I actually thought she was going to get a cement mixer in with this wax. And she said after an hour and 15 minutes when she finished, she said, "You're doing really well. The last guy was crying." And I'm trying to get the words out without doing what she was saying. And I've never.
You were feeling violated. You were going for crisis intervention or something.
It was awful.
Brian, Miss Worm says, "What have I logged into?" Yes, it's not the Fireside Beauty Hour.
Just stay along. Just stay for the ride, Miss Worm. Just hang on. It gets a little bumpy in the beginning, but then it smooths out. So just relax.
Right. So let's go to that anyway. Our topic today. Hang on. Let me do this. Let me do this little brand magic. Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
There we go. Today's topic is all about the US elections, and me and yourself, Ration Nerd, did a podcast on this not so long ago. So apologize if
We
it's
did.
repeated in any way.
That's okay. It's about that time.
It is about that time. Apparently, the USA most important election ever. Funnily enough, on the same date, we tried to blow up Parliament on the 5th of November. I wonder if there's any significance to that.
There very well could be, I imagine.
Yeah, so I found that quite interesting. So I'll jump straight into it because it's pointless just asking you general feelings on it, because we'll just get everyone else's political views, and yours only counts, Ration Nerd, because we don't get a vote.
Everybody else does.
When we become,
there's dead people over here voting. Why the hell shouldn't you guys be able to vote? 30,000 immigrants they brought in and handed voter ID cards to. Why not you guys?
He's off. We'll just sit and watch and ration.
Yeah, right. I'm only mildly butthurt about the entire affair. Yeah. No, sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. You go right ahead.
No, you carry on. So the question is here: what are the current trends in voter turnout compared to previous elections? The reason I ask this is there's apparently a voter surge at this election compared to previous ones of young people, and everything I've been seeing online, like Charlie Kirk videos and liberal videos and stuff like that, it's all been these students. So there seems to be a massive turnout. How much do you think that's going to affect the results there? We'll go to you first, Ration Nerd.
Well, there's a lot of different demographics across the U.S. and all the states. Voter turnout is higher. They'll never beat the magic Biden voter turnout of more voters ever in American history that voted for Biden. Hold on, let me find something to vomit in. Where am I at? So voter, obviously voter registration is up, but I'm trying to answer one question at a time without spinning off on another direction. So yes, the answer to that first question is yes, voter turnout is up. How do I think the students are going to affect the election? Students have a pretty large tendency to vote massively liberal because that's what they're indoctrinated with in the education system here. So, I'm not really that worried about it. Quite frankly, the vote is so the vote is so rigged and so screwed up right now. The entire election process is so messy, and there's so much doubt and so many questions about the validity of the election, about everything that's going on, boxes of ballots being burned, illegal immigrants being registered to vote.
I've got a few points on that as well later on as well.
Yeah, a metric shit ton of voter irregularities going on here. People reporting that they vote for Trump, it switches to Harris. You can't vote the party like it used to be in the past, that because we have these, super hyper efficient, absolutely 100% legitimate, never, ever, ever wrong, and never rigged, never taken over by the government and fucked with, never, ever an Excel spreadsheet of passwords gets leaked out to the press that has a tab at the bottom of it that shows you the passwords to all the Dominion voting machines. That never happens, ever. But there's so much voting irregularities across the country in so many states.
Yeah.
That it's really it's anybody's fucking guess at this point.
Now, this is why
I think it was just by popular vote, I think Trump would win in a landslide. But with all the election rigging, who knows?
Yeah, that's why I think that's why the one of the campaign things that Trump guys are coming up with is make it too big of a win for them to fudge it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the only way he's going to get elected.
Yeah, yeah. Brian, the youth getting involved. I mean, we don't like it in this country. How much do you think it's going to affect the election? Obviously, pending all the voting machines being accurate and everything working legitimately like it should.
I think kids in general, younger people in general, have been more engaged since social media and technology became a thing in general for about the last 10 years. And unfortunately, I've got to agree with Ration Nerd, that vote as a demographic is largely spun towards the Liberal side, because no harm to the kids, but it seems to be that as they've grown up, they've been sheltered, spoon-fed, all the rights but none of the responsibilities. So they've not been shell-shocked with just how fucked up life actually gets and how corrupt it generally can be. So they've got a fluffy image in their mind of how things actually should be and all their rights and all the things that they should get, but with no fucking responsibility. One example, my daughter, when Scotland was going for independence, that was another travesty, but anyway, she said that old people, right, old people like me shouldn't have a vote. It should be young people like her that should have a vote because they'll have to live with the consequences. And I said, well, how does that work? Because I've paid taxes for 30 years and you haven't done anything to contribute. So surely, by your rationale, my vote should carry more weight. No. So that's the kind of logic that you're dealing with.
I mean, you were very diplomatic. My first response would be, how old do you think I fucking am?
Yeah, I mean,
this is what happens to a young person.
I'm prematurely gray. Damn it. I mean, I agree that the demographic, especially like the social media influence on the younger mind certainly influences the outcome of all the elections. If you get a lot of young people that don't have a lot of life experience, and the great thing is, young people have all the freedom to be ideologues, because they have so much time to change course. Like, oh, I can be an ideologue now and I can think communism is the best shit since sliced bread. And as they get older, like, oh, this shit sucks. Like, why the hell would I ever think of that? And then you're like, oh, all that time I spent, like, trying to get the stars and stripes replaced with the hammer and sickle because I thought I was like, comrade communist. Then they change their tune and they get a little older and they realize that, living in a representative republic, which I cannot fucking stand when everybody's like, democracy. Oh, Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy. It's a threat. Shut the fuck up. I do not want democracy, because democracy is 51 wolves telling 49 sheep what is for dinner, and that's not what it's about. So it's a representative republic. Just for anybody that's listening that happens to be from America, that's right now going, oh, Washington is a threat to our democracy. First of all, fuck you. Second of all, it's a representative republic. You retard. Read the Constitution. Figure it out. I don't even remember where the fuck I was. I just kind of went down a side street and got lost. So just bring me back in wherever. I just got angry. So sorry. I need some coffee.
I would have to say you're quite a closed book. I mean, you're very hard to read. You keep your opinions to yourself, a bit like me. But I get the impression this chat's going to have to, we'll have to draw your opinion out. Right? We're going to have to try and tease it out.
There's a reason why I don't play poker. I'm not a good card player. I don't do that whole across the table betting thing.
No. As soon as he gets his cards, what the hell is this shit?
Right? Yeah. I'm sitting behind a full house, like, bet more money. No, the whole thing, really. I'm honestly sick of it. Like, sick of it. And you're speaking about the social media portion of it. Not only is it like on every other ad on YouTube, for God's sake, then it's like you'll get random text messages on your phone, all hours of the day and night. Like, one will be vote for Kamala, one will be vote for Trump, one will be like Kamala's horrible, the other one will be Trump is horrible. It's like, get off my goddamn phone. Like, stop texting me, stop calling me, leave me the fuck alone. I can't wait for this election season to be over, to be fair.
Just to stop being hounded.
Yeah, right.
On the conspiracy front, I've heard rumors. Don't know how true it is, that US forces overseas, for the first time ever, have not been given the chance to vote. Like there's been some sort of administration issues with that. I mean, that sounds tactical because would they predominantly be Trump voters, do you think, or would it be an even mix? Or do you think it's generally a clerical lever?
I mean, I would say you would probably have the majority of the military voting conservative, and I'm just going to say I'm not in the military.
Yeah.
Typically, the military does vote a lot more conservative than liberal. I mean, look, there were some votes that were allowed to be brought in from the soldiers, which I think is a travesty of justice. Like there's our guys out there defending, ostensibly defending the nation and laying it on the line for us, and their vote can't even be counted. Like, how absolutely fucking ridiculous is that? Like, that is off the charts. Like, there's just so much that goes on here now around every election season. It's a joke. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's not a very funny one. It's really aggravating to know that our democracy, our republic, is so screwed up. And you can't believe a single thing the media says. You can't believe a single thing the government says because they're all in it. We've had major news networks that are already accidentally running the news ticker at the bottom of the screen showing Kamala victory.
Yeah, apparently it was to test the software, and the numbers were fake and all this lot. It's like, yeah, okay, that just sounds a bit sus.
Yeah, like a lot, right? So the media's in on it, the government's in on it. I mean, what else do you need?
I've got media as a topic in this later on.
They should all. I mean, I'll tell you right now, they should all just literally be hung, like slowly on pay-per-view television to make up some money for the deficit.
There goes monetization. Anyway, Brian, from an outside perspective, military personnel serving your country, the biggest sacrifice you could do, and then don't get a chance to vote. It's got to be outraged at that, surely.
Then they should stop the election. They've had plenty of time, right? They've had plenty of time to put a technological fix in place if there is a clerical administration or any other pile of shit they want to come out with. If you've got people singing on the line and giving up their freedom, their liberty, right, potentially their life, they're the definition of somebody who should have a fucking choice in a vote, right? So if you can't guarantee their vote, then there's no vote for anybody. You postpone the vote until everybody gets a voice, especially people who are putting their bollocks on the line. There's no justification anybody could ever give, because you'll have tens of thousands of troops and military personnel deployed all over the world. You can't tell me in this day and age that they can't be given some... They've got transport planes delivering supplies everywhere. They could use fucking paper and pen. That's bollocks.
Yeah, they've got digital means. There's loads of ways they could potentially do it. In the comments, Philip Hull says, I agree in general, but sometimes children are good at calling bullshit as they haven't got brainwashed yet. The saying wise beyond the years comes to mind. I'd tend to agree, Philip, if that was like 14, 15 and below. But when you get into college and university, the amount of liberal professors is unreal. Brian?
I'll jump in on that one.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with the premise. However, you see your kids, especially as they're younger, for perhaps 2 hours a day. You'll be lucky if you get 5 minutes of their attention, especially as they get older and they realise dad's a bit of a prick, right? They've got no time for you anymore, right? Because you don't matter. They've been bombarded by phone, right? By computer, with how they should be, how they should look, how they should act. What chance have you got with the time that they'll give you to give them any chance in life? It's an uphill slog all the way. You've got no chance. Mass media and everything else will bombard your child and education that it's okay to grow up to be a fucking teapot or one of the 600 million genders that we've got at the moment. You've got no chance. So that premise in the 70s would have been great, but nowadays, no.
Yeah. I'd hate to see the size of the little register to vote boxes where you've got to tick male, female. That's got to be massive now. It's got to have its own page, right?
It'll be like a boiler pulling it out.
Oh,
I mean, look,
Blame.
the way I feel about it is, if you actually have to fill out a gender for somebody, like if you can't tell when they walk in the door if they're a man or a woman, like there should be like pink ballots and blue ballots, like there's just two, guys. There's just two. Unless you're a natural hermaphrodite and then you get like the pink and blue crossed one or something. But other than that, there's only two fucking genders. Sorry, now we're demonetized again. My bad.
It was a write-off from the start. As soon as
Sorry.
the invites went out.
See, it's okay for you to. I can get locked up for that because, as the rules stand in Scotland now, if you hurt somebody's feelings, right, then they'll ignore people getting fucking attacked in their homes. But when they brought in the hurt feelings bullshit law about April, May, then they'd 6,000 complaints about people being upset about something somebody said. So we'll not respond to somebody's house being broken into. We'll give you a crime number, right? If your house gets burgled. But if you hurt your feelings, oh fucking hell, we'll get C4 charges and blow the door off the hinges.
Jesus Christ.
It's absolute madness. It really is. And I don't know how Glasgow alone in Scotland will survive, because like you could get offended just walking down the street there. So everyone's going to be arrested. It's going to be an empty city at some point.
I mean, I have a feeling that all of this nonsense is going to hit a point of critical mass, because you can only shovel that garbage on the people for so long until they just snapped and had enough. Like, I'm right there, like a couple more bucket loads of that horse shit and I'm just going to lose my shit. So I think that's really where the world is going.
This is how politically correct the UK has gone. That my late uncle was 83 with a full beard, and the nurse asked him if he might be pregnant.
I've got to ask, was he?
That's how nuts it's gone. Anyway, we go off topic again. Quick, I'm gonna wrangle you back in.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get that. You're gonna have to have that rope ready like at any second.
Trump is 78. He looks good for his age. Don't get me wrong. I hope I'm that active when I'm 78, but it means he'll be 82 by the end of his term. Is he too old, Brian?
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
100%. It's dead simple for me, right? Once you burst about 35 to 40, your body and your mental faculties are in decline. Genetics, lifestyle will play a part in that, but ultimately, you're not able to cope with stress and reason as fast as you could when you were a young man, right? That's a given, because everything's in the decline. Technology and everything else, yeah, you get wiser with age, but so does your ability to process and deal with stress, and all the shit that goes with it decreases as you get older, right? It's a biological certainty. Now, Biden, I'm sorry, he looks like the uncle that you wouldn't trust with the remote control for the fucking television set. We don't know what Trump's going to look like in 4 years' time. But even an honest person, no matter who you vote for, would have to say, if you compare Trump to his last presidency to this one that he may get, he's not the same man, because he can't be. It's physically not possible. And that takes a toll, the term he served last time. Even his legal battles have taken a toll. Never mind the campaign will take a toll. Do you really want to trust somebody running and being responsible for billions of people, right? Livelihoods, everything else, who his mental faculties could not be up to the job? For me, it's a no.
Yeah. But I mean, okay, so Ration Nerd, same question. Like, is he too old? But I mean, a caveat to that is it's kind of a thing. It's when's the last time you had a young president, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, I think the answer to that is yes. But Kamala Harris is completely
60.
empty-headed.
She's 60 as well.
Completely empty-headed. It doesn't matter how old she is. Her brain is just non-existent. So I would rather have Trump with, like early onset Alzheimer's than I would have Kamala at her full function. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. Biden is just too busy pooping his pants and probably trying to stick his finger in the light socket to really be trusted to do anything. And I mean, he can't even walk up a goddamn set of stairs without falling over. And yes, Trump is too old for the job, but we don't have any other options. So therein lies
That's
the
the
problem.
problem.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely, it is a problem. I mean, I wouldn't have any issues. I don't, I think, between 45 and 55 is an ideal age for a president, in my personal opinion, because you lose the hot-headedness, right? So I don't want somebody that's got their finger on the nuclear button being really pissed off because they haven't leveled out their testosterone. Like between 45 and 55, I think that's a brilliant age for somebody to be commander in chief. They're wise, but they're also they're still on both sides of the spectrum. They can kind of identify with young people to see what their heads at, and they can also kind of identify with older people and everybody in between. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree with that. I was going to say, sorry, just a quick interject. Do you not think common sense should come into this? And you would say, look, there's no ageism or any other woke pish they want to put into it. We're going to go with common sense, something sadly lacking, and say, listen, you've got to have life experience. So you can't apply for the job as president until you're about 35 to 40 at the earliest, right? Because you're not going to know enough to matter enough. But if you get to 55, you can't even run, right? Because you're just not going to be up for the job.
We take licenses off pensioners at a certain age in this country, so they can't handle a vehicle without doing another retest. Yeah,
right. Well, there are exceptions to that rule, and that's where it gets kind of hard. So, like, if you look at Ron Paul, and if you haven't seen Ron Paul, there's a million YouTube videos on Ron Paul. He was a presidential candidate. They railroaded him out of it. He would have won the popular vote in this country hands down. But even at his age, I don't know how to express this without saying something really crazy. Like, I would drown nuns, like literally drown 2 nuns to get Ron Paul as president. Like, like I would drown some babies. I know that's hardcore, right? Like, because he would actually have the ability, the intelligence, and the integrity to fix the country if it's fixable.
Yeah.
So, and he's pretty old, but that guy is as sharp as a tack. So it's kind of hard to put an age restriction on anything because some people are just, I don't know, some people age better than others.
The problem is, though, if you don't do that, if you don't have a hard and fast guideline, ceiling, whatever you want to call it, you'll have their backers or their doctor who'll stand up and swear in court, yeah, Joe Biden, Trump, Robert Kennedy, whoever you want to say, right? They've all got mental faculties that are superior to their biological age, and I'll rubber stamp that for you right now. The corruption element will kick in, so I think you really should have an upper ceiling that you go, look, after a certain point, this guy's going to be pissing himself every day. We don't want him near the button, it'll blow up.
Miss Worm says people at that age won't cope well with having to stay up 36 hours straight in a major crisis just physically. Well, yeah, the current president couldn't stay up 36 minutes in a crisis, so they're definitely going to struggle.
I mean, cocaine is a marvelous thing. I'm just saying. Like, I heard there were some baggies of it dropped at the White House. I just think that's the answer. It's like, oh shit, there's a crisis. We got to do a couple of lines. We're going to be up for a while. We need some pizza and some Coke up in the White House. Like, just that.
Right. Guys, because Ration Nerds completely demonetized us now, feel free to use the super chat and donate at any point to help the channel.
Is this to help with the legal bills for everybody that's going to get locked up in an hour time?
I mean, look, it would be really hard to have a PG conversation about the U.S. government right now.
It would.
Extraordinarily hard. Like, it literally, I would probably have a better time, like, closing my face with, like, safety pins. Like, it would just be almost impossible for me to do.
It's just as bad here, to be fair.
Yeah.
Same.
Same shit.
So we say Trump potentially too old, but possibly still the best candidate in people's eyes. Kamala, she's the current vice president, right? And we've pretty much established the current president is about as much use as a toddler, But what's she done with her time in office? Because this is what I keep seeing on even the media that's biased towards her struggle to list her achievements. You've had that long in such a high station.
If I'd have known you were going to ask me this question, I would have had a big, hot, steaming pile of shit sitting next to me, because that's the only good answer, right? Like, I don't normally keep big piles of shit laying near me, just for the record, but I would have had one to answer this question. I just would have like put it on my ration tray, or no, I would have put it on somebody else's ration tray and just held it right up to the camera. Like, there it is, right there. That's what Kamala has done with her presidency. Absolute big, fat, juicy turd. That's what you got.
I've got to be honest, mate. I'll hang about for another hour if you want to get a prop.
Dude, I just got back from camping, and I know this is way off topic, but anybody that's been camping, when you come home, you get the camp shits. So that's going to be a real nasty. I'm not sure Kamala is worthy of my camp shits.
You're going to need a bowl, not a plate. But seriously, I mean,
nothing. She's done. I mean, look, she has nothing to speak of.
We're trying to be objective. Just bear that in mind.
No, I'm being, look, just for everybody that's watching, like, if it's the first time you've seen me or you just don't know what my politics are, I'm dead down the middle. I mean, I'm way more conservative than I'm anything else, but I'm not rooting for Team Red or Team Blue. I don't care. Like, I wouldn't care if they were fucking pink and green with purple polka dots and wore a goddamn unicorn horn. If you did the job right, I don't care what your race, ethnicity, political affiliation. I don't care. I just want somebody in there that's going to do the job in the best interest of the American public. And we haven't had that in a really long time. Trump did a really good job when he was in, and I'm not a stormtrooper. So anybody's, oh, Ration Nerd's a stormtrooper. No, I'm really not. I just want somebody in there that's going to do what's right for the country.
I'd like to be a stormtrooper just because I love the name.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, he did a lot of stuff I didn't agree with, you know, but he's still the best option.
Yeah. Go on, Brian.
Just a quick one, just to get Rationaire's perspective. I've listened to a lot of podcasts with Robert Kennedy, and for me, as an outsider looking in, I'd vote for that guy tomorrow. I just like the cut of his jib. What's your thoughts?
I like the guy. He's a little too left on some issues for me. But a lot of what he is deeply concerned about, so am I. Just like the health of our food and the, you know, big pharma running everything, and big pharma just basically having free license to pump us full of endless amounts of trash. He's completely against that. There's a lot of things that he does stand for actively and openly that I 100% agree with. I think it was pretty brilliant that, I can't remember the name of the guy, but when it was obvious that the Democrats were really screwing Kennedy out of an opportunity to run for president, that's exactly what they did. They just screwed him out of his opportunity to run for president. I mean, if you don't know, the Kennedys kind of have a sordid history in this country, like grassy knoll, you know, stuff like that. But they screwed him out of it, basically. So he had no chance to run. Somebody actually put Trump and brain fog, camping moment. They put Trump and Kennedy together. And they had a long conversation. And the cool thing was that, you know, both Trump and Kennedy, you know, said this. They disagree on a lot of things, but at the very least, they can talk about it. And there's a lot of things they agree on. And, you know, food health and or food safety, what's in our food, the vaccine nonsense, the big pharma nonsense, all that, they agree on that stuff. So Trump is going to bring him on, you know, to help him help run the country, you know, in some capacity if Congress doesn't, you know, fight him on it. Yeah. But they're essentially, you know, teaming up together, which is a good thing. You know, because it brings a lot of those people that were, you know, definitely going to vote for him back onto the Trump side. So that's probably one of the reasons why he has a chance of winning, if I'm being honest.
On that unscripted question, I'm a not so secret Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, and obviously he had his governorship and stuff like that, and he kind of broke the mold a bit with that. Why aren't more people doing that? When I say he broke the mold, he brought on like onto his staff. He brought on Democrats, Republicans, all sorts onto his staff and ran the state with a combination of everyone, like all the points of views. Why is that not done more? Why is nobody doing that at a presidential level?
I guess it's all politics, if I'm being honest. I mean, and lobbyists are probably the worst thing on the planet. Because lobbyists just basically take corporate money and throw it at politicians to get them to do what they want.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot about Arnold Schwarzenegger I don't like as well. A lot of the things that he said, like his opinions. Oh yeah, absolutely. Something about like,
Anyway, let's carry on.
But I'm not even going to attempt to do the Arnold Schwarzenegger voice. He was like, "You'll take the vaccine and you'll like it. Nobody cares what you think." And it's like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
We're not
as much of a fan as I am, I'll agree with you on that point. That made me cringe a bit. His little desk speech about the vaccine. Yeah, that did make me cringe a little bit. Back onto the election and Kamala. Am I right in saying she's not won a primary to get to the position she's in, and that's what
absolutely.
Can you explain
she
to
was
the people?
Selected.
Everyone who's watching, most of our audience is the UK, obviously. Don't be put off by the stars and stripes in the background. It's the subject of the topic, but we will get onto how this affects the UK at the end, so stay tuned. But can you explain to our UK viewers what a primary is, Ration Nerd?
Absolutely. So we'll have, just to make it very simple, for the Democrats and the Republicans, there'll be a series of candidates. And then at some point in the election season, they will have a primary election, as that is when the people choose the candidate that they want to run for president. So the people are supposed to vote in the primary, and that's supposed to choose the candidate. Kamala Harris, there was no primary for her. When they decided, the Democratic Party decided that, I'm sorry, not Obama, but Biden was not on the menu this year, they didn't have a primary. They just selected Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee.
Yeah. So what do you think should be allowed? Or should they all
Absolutely
go through that
not.
process? No?
Absolutely not. I don't think it should have been allowed at all. It was kabuki theater.
Yeah.
They basically were running Biden, and they realized that he probably wasn't going to make it to the end of the next term, and that he was extraordinarily unpopular.
Yeah.
And there was no way, even with the shenanigans they pull with the fake ass voting machines that we have, that Biden was going to win over Trump. So they were scrambling to put somebody in his place.
Yeah. Brian, any thoughts on the fact she's not won a primary? I mean, I know it works slightly different here because, like, the Conservative Party vote for a leader amongst themselves, right?
There's some direct comparisons you can draw to that, though. In the UK, we've had four prime ministers since Boris got kicked out, who we never voted for, right?
Yeah.
We never voted for any of them. So you could draw a kind of correlation between that. You've got people in office running a country that you might never have heard of. You certainly never voted for. Shit, one of them lasted, 45 days and nearly crashed the economy.
Liz Truss.
And this is the sort of shit that we're getting. So I can relate directly that sort of shit to what's going on there.
Yeah. It's scary, isn't it? It's that democracy you're on about, Ration.
Yeah, a threat to our democracy. If I hear that one more time, I swear.
Mr. Atom Blue, I said we'll come on to the UK at the end, but he said, I think the US and UK relations will suffer. Trump will wipe the floor with Starmer, and Labour, as they've gone after Musk, and Labour's helping the Harris campaign. Yeah, we'll touch on that after I leave that starred. We'll go on to that because that was interesting for me as well. Let's quickly
let me respond to that real quick.
Go on.
I don't think Trump would. I mean, God, I'm so full of 4-letter words today. I apologize. Trump is not going to shit on the long-standing relationship between the U.S. and the U.K. He may not agree with them, but he's enough of a diplomat to not shit all over our relationship. And what really bothers me is it really should be like the three of us are from three different countries. I don't have any problem with you guys. You're just regular people, just like me, trying to live your life. So what, you live in another country? I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Realistically, U.S., UK, U.S., Scotland, and everybody else, the relations are fine when it comes down to normal, everyday people. You know, like I got no beef with you guys. I don't care what the hell you're doing. Like you're just raising your family, doing your thing, and that's I think what we all need to remember. Stop being so fucking tied up in this political nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. It's definitely a good point. Let's go on to the key issues briefly of the election, and we'll start with an unusual subject because I think USA has more religion involved than the UK does on subjects like this. But we're talking about abortion. So Harris has made reproductive rights of personal freedoms a rallying cry, and backs national law codifying access to safe abortions. And Trump has struggled to find footing on this issue, insisting that it's a state matter. And it wouldn't. He said that he wouldn't do a national ban, which is kind of a conservative point of view when it's the further extreme when it comes to religious people and stuff like that. So I feel like it would never be an issue in the UK, this kind of thing. It would never be a political cry at that level. Why do you think that is over there, Ration Nerd?
It's a political talking point.
Yeah.
You know, there's ultra conservative people that want abortion to be banned. And then there's ultra liberal people or ultra lefty people that want abortions to be like, you know, you go to McDonald's and you get your abortion and you go work out at the gym.
Yeah.
There's a fine line between all that. And I think Trump's stance to let it be handled by the states, quite honestly, is the smartest play, right? Like he can feel however he wants to feel about it. But if he puts it off on the states and lets each individual state make the decision whether or not they have abortion in their state, that's the smartest decision. Because realistically, you can go to another state. Not that it's easy. I'm not saying that it's affordable to go to another state to have an abortion. But if you have to have an abortion that bad, you could just go to another state and get it done. They overplay everything. You know, they overdo the whole abortion. They're trying to take women's rights, this, that, and the other. My body, my choice, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't disagree with that in a way. But the point is, just let the fucking states decide. You know, I moved out of the state that I used to live in because I didn't like their politics. It took me a while. I had to save up my money, but I did it. I got the hell out. So if you're living in a state where the majority of the people that live in your state think abortion should not be legal, then fucking move.
Yeah. Yeah. Brian, do you think, obviously, like I say, I don't think it's as big of a political issue in this country, stuff like that. But what's your thoughts on that? Do you think it's because it's a state's the best option because you might have a more religious state than another?
I think this will be slightly controversial. I think the business of religion...
Controversial on this podcast? Never.
I know. I think the business of religion, and it is a business in the US to a large extent, you've got channels, it's all over the place, and it's a selling point. This is just something else to sell to people. It's a political... you know, it's something that's personal to the family, the women involved. And it should never be publicised like this and politicised. It's just a lot of bollocks, and it's going to hurt a lot of people. And all it's doing is a talking point to grab votes, like all the other bollocks that they do.
Yeah. It's like I say, it's a difficult one for us to cover because it's kind of a non-issue over here. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think a national ban. I think one extreme, the other is never going to work. But you know, it's contentious when life starts. I think that's the main argument, right? So we'll leave that one there because that's for people with wombs to discuss. We don't.
It's qualify. A topic I'd avoid like the plague.
You are.
It's a topic I would avoid personally like the plague because it's so emotive, and everybody thinks that they're right. and there's very little middle ground. I would never be able to persuade one side or the other which right, because they've got so hard opinions and both fundamentally believe they're right. And to an extent, they probably are both right, but we'll never argue the middle ground here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and meanwhile, while they're arguing that point, you know, they're so locked onto their side, they're not looking at everything else that's going on. And there's so many other important issues that impact everybody's daily life that they'll cling on to that issue and they'll vote one side or the other because they feel one way or the other without looking at the rest of the agenda that the other candidates have.
Yeah, we get that over here as well. We'll latch on to something, and that is the whole campaign. Let's ignore everything else. One of the major ones that does affect everybody is, of course, the economy. Biden and Harris have consistently trailed Trump in opinion polls when it comes to the economy. Harris says that she'll cut tax, which they all say they'll cut tax, right? For most Americans, price gouging bans, affordable housing, and new child tax credits, as well as efforts to boost domestic manufacturing. Trump has vowed tax cuts, of course. You couldn't run for president without vowing tax cuts. Impose sweeping tariffs on imported goods. And protect Social Security and Medicare. The arguments I've seen online, I mean, I do have a preference, and I've watched more videos of one side than the other, but we won't go into that. Not until I get my green card, then citizenship, then I can talk. But when it comes to how well they've done in the past and how well they've done in this term, how much of that is a factor of who's in charge, Brian, and how much of it is a factor of the climate? Because houses were cheaper under Trump, but it was in the past, inflation, etc. The economy was better under Trump, but he also had the COVID side of things. So how much of it is them themselves and how much is it just general factors around?
None of that matters, because fundamentally they're all lying, right? Fundamentally, it does not matter a bollocks whether it's COVID, there's house prices increases, there's an oil embargo. None of that bollocks matters. The truth doesn't matter. They will tell you anything you want to hear with no intention to carry any of it out once they get in office. And that's the same in the US, same as in the UK. They're all the same. You're largely voting for a party or a person who you hope might do some of the things that you might like that they say they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it across the board for all of them. They'll play the blame game that it was the last government. A big boy did it and ran away, right? It's never their fault, but they've got the panacea and they're going to fix everything.
A black hole in the economy that they can't explain, for example.
Yeah, it's all nonsense. It's all absolute nonsense. They lie. They're professional paid liars. That's what a politician is. And they will play the latest card that's the big buzzword. So what's the hot topic that's pissing people off? And they'll have a lot of highly educated marketers and people that are doing polls to tell them, right, they're soft in this issue, we need to attack that. We're soft here, we need to attack that. And they will play to the crowds. They'll read the room and they'll play to the crowds. It's all lies.
I like the politicians are highly paid liars. If you want to support my political campaign in 4 years' time, you can join the channel for $2.99 a month. There we go.
Right.
That's my plug.
There you go.
Ration Nerd, from your down the middle perspective, let's take out Trump, let's take out Kamala, let's take out individuals. Did you choke when I said down the middle?
Down the middle. Mate, I wasted good Pepsi there.
But let's take out individuals, let's take out characters, just based on policies and what they say they can do and what they can do and what they will do. Economically, who's selling the best pitch there?
I mean, who's selling the best pitch? I mean, I guess that really depends on what perspective you're watching the pitch from. You know, therein lies the problem. You know, Kamala has no track record, and the economy under Biden and Kamala has been, a relative train wreck. I mean, the prices of everything are going through the goddamn roof, and taxes are going up on everything. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, look, it really is a matter of perspective. If you really like Kamala, you're going to look at her lies that she's telling when she says she's going to give tax cuts, which Democrats never do. They always say they're going to cut taxes on the middle class, and the middle class always eats the brunt of the burden of the horse shit they're doing with all our money. And to an extent, the same thing happens with the Republicans.
Yeah.
I tend to think that the Republicans do a better job at actually putting more money in middle class's pocket.
Yeah.
Because they understand that's how the economy actually works.
This is where our similarities in the UK come, because whether you're Conservative, Labour, Reform, anything like that, traditionally it's been Conservative for Labour before Reform came on the scene. But you look at the people that are in there, and Labour's full of ex-working class, used to be a nurse, used to be this, whereas Conservatives are full of businessmen, entrepreneurs. Who do you trust with your money more, right? And I think that's a kind of similar sort of thing.
I mean, just in general, I think the Republican Party has a better handle on how to put more money into the middle class, because they know that that's what's going. And yes, they're businessmen by and large. A lot of Republicans are, business class people, but they understand that the middle class having more money means they have more discretionary spending, meaning that all the businesses that they may own and all the stock that they may own will go up in value, because there's more money moving through our internal economy. And that's what, for some reason, the Democrats always lose sight of. If you don't put money back into the working class, then the working class doesn't have money to spend. And every time we spend $1 here in the United States, it's taxed like 3 or 4 fucking times. So
we feel you. We feel you.
Like if the government, like if I don't have the money to spend, then I can't spend it, which means you don't get to tax it 3 or 4 fucking times. So you're going to lose money if you don't put money in the middle class's pocket.
What was that, Brian?
42%, and then national insurance on top of it.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. You're taxed when you earn it, you're taxed when you spend it, you're taxed when you die, and you're taxed when you retire.
I don't even leave your OnlyFans.
Yeah. As well as becoming a channel member, you can buy my feet pictures at no.
Well, nice. I'm gonna have to start selling used underwear if it gets any worse. You know what I mean?
What do you mean start? I've been doing it for 6 months.
He's still got the same stock. It's not gone.
No, it's a hard sell.
Immigration, always a sensitive subject, because people, left-wing people, will scream racist as soon as you mention the word immigration, regardless of what it is. Trump has pledged what he calls a deportation operative, in the biggest deportation operative in the US history. And he's been misquoted on a bit of that, which I'll go into in a second. And Harris has shifted to center on the issue, underlining her support for a bipartisan proposal in Congress that would have loads of new border guards, and then close the door when they hit 5,000 people a day. So if you're 5,000, number 5,001 immigrant, you've got to wait until the next day, kind of thing. So that's the policies. I want to go into quickly before I go to you guys on the misquoted things, because I recently had a conversation with somebody on WhatsApp regarding this, and I was getting sent videos and stuff like that. And I've then since read news articles that have pulled these quotes up. They never put the whole thing up, just the bit that sounds the most headline grabbing, right? Mainstream media, gotta love it. And they said that he's quoted saying, undocumented immigrants are animals, have bad genes, poisoning the blood of our country. But they've all cut off the fact that at the start of this same interview, he said, we have some extremists, sick people in our country. And he even said that it's not just it's not people coming in he's talking about, it's people that's already in the country. And he was talking about extremists and the extreme side of things, but they've pulled them quotes out and then done a direct comparison with, you know, World War II history. So the immigration policy, I kind of agree with Trump, and I'm sorry, I don't know, I said I wouldn't pick sides, but he's just all about, he's not stopping anybody from any particular color, creed, or anything coming to the country. Just do it fucking legally, right? If you come into any country illegally, you're by definition a criminal. We're not saying that you are a murderer, you're a rapist, you are somebody doing other things. You've literally broke the law by crossing the border, going into the country. And yes, I know it's hard work. Trust me, I've looked at the applications for moving to the States and things like that. And there's a lot of work involved and you've got to do a lot of stuff. But don't just jump the border and disrespect every single person that's spent that time, money, and effort to do that stuff. That's
but why
my
not?
rant.
You get away with it.
Huh?
But why not? But why not? They get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, there is that argument, and we're talking about going to the States for a holiday to go and visit Ration Nerd and other friends over there when we go next year. And I said to her, I said, the problem's not going to be getting there and going around and doing everything. The problem's going to be getting me on the plane to go home. I just don't just skip off and go and start working for tips in a restaurant.
Don't worry, man. I'll sponsor you.
But so immigration, I mean, that's my rant. And I said I wouldn't say my political views because I'm supposed to be impartial, but fuck you guys. Where do you guys stand on it? Brian, I'll ask you first, because I'm sure Rations Nerd's got a lot of opinions on this as well. But when it comes, this doesn't have to be just the US elections. This can be everywhere. Where do you stand on the immigration side of things?
I stand on it that you should follow the rule of law in the land, right? Any place I've went to go, and I travel a lot, I've got to conform to certain social norms to get in there, because they've put some common sense rules in place. You've got to be here, you're not a criminal, you've got to have a certain amount of money to sustain yourself for your time that you're going to be here, blah, blah, blah. Fairly reasonable common sense things, right? And yes, there is people in the world that are fleeing for their lives, okay? But when there's a guy jumping off a fucking boat, wearing a dress, he's 30 years old and he's saying his name's Cindy, and he's looking for his parents who are slumming at a 5-star fucking hotel, right? There's something wrong. Yeah. That's not right. Now, if you're fleeing across 7 countries to come here or America, you're not fleeing to a place of safety. You've made a choice to go somewhere where it's socially better for you, not safer. That's an entirely different thing. If you've got somebody that's fleeing to a place of safety, I've got nothing but sympathy for you, right? And I'll happily chip in money and for my taxes and everything else to save you. And I don't care if you're blue with yellow fucking dots. It means nothing to me. However, if you're jumping across the channel or jumping across the Atlantic, I'd mind the fucking lot. Right now, I'd mind the fucking thing. Because you should not be doing that. And I don't know who you are. So if you're burning your passport at Cali to get here, or burning it to jump across from Canada or South America, right? You're intentionally breaking the law at various stages for whatever reason, right? That's fundamentally wrong, and we're not taking a hard enough stance about that. And if you dare to say anything about it, you're a racist, you're a horrible person, you're unfeeling. I've got compassion. I feel strongly that people should be happy and live and all the rest of it, but that applies to me and you guys as well. You've got a right to be happy and safe in your own homes, and so have your children. And if I'm letting strangers in, that's a fucking problem. Excuse the language, sorry. It really hacks me off.
Hell yeah.
No problem. No problem. Right, Ration Nerd, same question, but more on topic towards the election. Where do you stand with the immigration side of things? And do you think both sides have got a valid point of how they're going to handle it?
No. The Democrats have all, and look, I am not like a hardcore Republican. There's a lot of stuff that, I mean, just to back up just a tiny bit, Democrats do have a lot of really valid points, and so do Republicans. But when it comes to all this social engineering horse shit that they're doing, all this crazy, rampant, illegal immigration is just screwing up my country and a whole bunch of other people, a whole bunch of other countries on the planet. You can't just have open borders and allow people to walk in and then give them my tax money for breaking the law, because that's what they're doing here. They're giving them debit cards and free housing and all this other horseshit stuff that, we have homeless people here that are citizens, and we have veterans here that are homeless, that are citizens of this country, fought for their country. We can't take care of them, but we can take care of tens of thousands of South American immigrants that are just pouring across the border. Absolutely not. Not until we take care of everybody here. And if you're breaking the law, my humble opinion is that we just have a whole row of fucking catapults at the border. And if you get caught coming across, we load you into a catapult and boom, we throw your ass right back over where you came from until you figure it out. And if you don't break every bone in your body, well, that's great. Go back where you came from and see you later.
We're going to struggle with that. We're going to struggle with that one. The catapult to throw somebody across the channel is going to have to be huge.
Well, you have to do trebuchet, the really big trebuchet. You couldn't do catapults. For me, for here, just going from, Texas or, wherever to Mexico, we can just do a catapult.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Nobody has a good plan. I think, Trump's plan is way better. But for me, in my opinion, there needs to be an absolute hard stop, zero illegal immigration. Everybody that's here illegally needs to be rounded the hell up and shipped back wherever they came from, and they can come back properly. Like, you broke the law. Now here's your bus ticket home, or here's your catapult ride, and see you next time when you try to come in legally. I could give two shits. Like,
Yeah, and there's ways they could do that in a politically correct way. You've got ICE and they round up a lot of people and they're about to send them back. They could literally give them booklets and pamphlets and information saying, listen, but you can reapply. Here's all the stuff you need to do. Off you go, do that, come back again. They could do it very nicely, right?
Yeah, I mean, and we get reports here all the time. There's another train of immigrants coming from, South America. It's 10,000 of them. It's like, you guys know there's a huge choo-choo train full of 10,000 illegal immigrants, and you're doing nothing about it? Man, if I park in the wrong goddamn parking spot, I'm getting a ticket. If I drive too fast, I'm getting a ticket. Like, I will get jacked up for all kinds of if I break the law, I'm getting jacked up. I mean, paying for it in some way, shape, or form. They can just chug a little choo-choo train with 10,000 illegal immigrants right across the border. And we're just over here like, oh, have some cake. Here's some money. I love you guys. No, fuck all that. I'm sick of it. And it literally needs to be a hard stop on all the illegal immigration. Shut it the fuck down. Make it impossible to get over here illegally. And if you're here illegally, they need to round you up and ship you the fuck back. And it's not racist. It's not class. It's nothing. There's none of that in play. I'm so sick of hearing that stuff. I don't give two shits what anybody color, what color you are. It makes no difference. If you come here to the United States, you're coming here to be an American. Don't bring your home with you and try to make America just like your home. You left that fucking place for a reason. Now, you can be proud of where you're from. You can be proud of your ethnicity. Zero shit's given. But you're coming here to be an American. Learn how to be an American. Like, speak the goddamn language. Learn about how the country works. And, no, you don't get to bring grandma and she doesn't get to suck up Social Security because she never paid into it. Because that's what they do. They'll bring their whole goddamn family, and you'll have grandmothers and grandfathers, and everybody's like, oh, cry tears, grandma, grandpa don't have any money. Go the fuck home. Like, you came here, and now we're supposed to, like, the taxpayers that have been paying into Social Security all my life, and now it's to the point where I will not get a Social Security check when I retire because all this money is coming out of Social Security, and there's not enough people paying into it. We're going to bring illegal immigrants into the country. There's that key word, illegal, which everybody, well, they're not illegal immigrants. They're new citizens. No, fucker. Or they're new Americans. No, they're really not. They're illegal fucking immigrants. That's my biggest beef. They're giving all the money away of the people that worked hard here every day to people that never did anything for this country. And they're seeking asylum here, whatever. There's legal mechanisms for all that. And if you're legitimately running from violence and you're seeking asylum here, it would be, if they could really make the argument for that, if they stopped having thousands upon thousands of illegal immigrants pouring across the border. Because how in the hell can you sort out asylum seekers from this flood of fucking people? So you can't even single out people that are legitimately seeking asylum in this country to give them the kind of aid that we would be able to if we just didn't have this huge migratory flood. It's like fucking birds coming. It's like a huge migration of illegal immigrants coming, going to get you. It's ridiculous. Like, you can't figure out where the asylum seekers are because there's 50,000 of them. It's ridiculous. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
No,
everybody hates Ration Nerd now.
Totally agree with everything you said.
Yeah. So you agree, Brian? Why do us three, regular guys, like in our respective countries, working, paying the bills, raising our families, why do we all know this? Why are politicians so scared to say this? Why are they so scared to do anything about this? Is it because of
because they're reading the room? They're reading the room. Exactly what I said earlier on. Fuck the truth. Fuck all that shit. They don't do that. They're professional paid liars, right? That's what they do for a living. They're educated. They're trained in it for years. They will read the room. They'll see what the common mood is, and they will play to that. It doesn't matter if it's all fucking lies, right? So we've got, at the moment, we're riding a crest of a wave of woke fuckers that they want to do and be and everything under the sun. They've got all these fucking rights. Bollocks. Fuck that shit, because that's going to collapse. The system can't sustain it, right? So they don't want mass immigration, but they don't want to lose their fucking job, right? Because if they say we're going to build a wall or we're going to mine the English Channel, right? Oh, that's terrible, but that's that. You makes you a horrible person. You're racist. All the other vitriol bollocks. It's not true.
Yeah.
But they know that the reading the room, that's what a lot of votes will carry on. So they know that they can't afford planes to Rwanda or anywhere else, and it's all a lot of bollocks, and we can't round these people up. What they'll do is they'll draw a line in the fucking sand soon and say everybody that's here is now legal, but going forward, we'll do it better. That's the sort of shit that's coming down the line. You wait and see. Because they don't know where they are.
Well, it'll free up a lot of hotels in this country, at least.
That's just history repeating itself.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done that here several times in several administrations. Oh, we're going to stop this whole illegal immigration thing, but everybody that's here, it'll cost too much money to round them up. No, fuck you. Get on the bus. The catapult is just getting reloaded. Get on the bus.
Philip Hull says voting is like prepping, should be done with your head, not your heart. Look at politics, look at actions, what lies and bull. Think, not react to shit. I think that's absolute sound advice for any country, any politics at all. I'm so sick of people that vote for red or blue based on what granddaddy voted for, because 9 times out of 10, they haven't got the same policies. They're not the same party.
No.
They're not the same people. They're nothing alike. Don't vote because that's what your parents expect you to do. Do your own research. We say it on this channel for every video.
Fun fact. The Democrats, who are supposedly the party for Black Americans and all that stuff, they were the KKK not too long ago. So everybody forgets that shit. And the problem is that people don't study history. And so they don't know when it's repeating itself. Basically,
why study it when you can erase it and pull down statues and just ignore everything that happened?
I mean, what's Kamala's fucking slogan? Kamala's slogan is something like being able to realize what's coming by fucking something about, doing something in the past. That's straight up out of a Marxist speech. That was a line from Karl Marx. I can't remember exactly what she says, but it's realizing the future that could be by, basically realizing the future that could be by forgetting the past or some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
It's she stole that line right from Karl Marx. I mean, if people aren't well educated, well read, and pay attention to history, we are absolutely doomed to repeat it.
Yeah, it's the same here. I mean, historically, the Conservative Party It's all posh boys at private school, and they're all out for the millionaires. It's not the case anymore. I think they're more for the working man. Labour traditionally was the working man. Labour, it's in the name. It was all about workforces and unions rising up and stuff like that. Now they are about the jobless masses and the people on benefits and anyone like that. The working man foots the bill. And then reform's quite new, so we're yet to see how they fuck us. Anyway, back to the US election. I saw a thing. How true it is, I don't know. We know that the internet is full of nothing but the truth. That said 82% of media coverage for Kamala was positive. 89% of coverage from the media for Trump was negative.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Imagine the mainstream media being biased. How could possibly that can't be true, right?
I mean, you know, all mainstream media, like they do this poll about like the trust rating that, you know, like how much trust people have in the mainstream media. That is so in the shitter. Like they have like their trust rating is in like the teens. It's like 13, 14%, some shit like that. Nobody over here trusts the mainstream media, but yet they still continue to do the same shit over and over again. And it's times like this, like major crises in the country and election time where they get the most airtime. Otherwise, most people have tuned out of mainstream media because they know it's just garbage. It's just theater. It's not even really news. It's theater. Most people that really want to get to news turn to YouTube and lots of other places where you have people that are reporting on real news, or you watch news from other countries. Yeah. Like Newsmax has more legitimate news about the United States than the United States media does, which is absolutely that shit crazy, right?
Yeah, I was speaking to an Australian prepper not so long ago on the podcast, and they hadn't even heard of any of our riots going on over here or anything like that in their media. Everything just gets censored out because the UK's everything's wonderful in the UK. Nothing's happening like that. Brian,
yeah, it wasn't your guys' riots wasn't on our mainstream media over here either.
It didn't happen. It was clearly all just made up.
Straight over it,
man. Brian, mainstream media should be non-biased, right? We've got the BBC over here, which is funded by the very few preppers that do still pay the TV license. After the last post I put up and everyone was going, you pay your TV license? You're an idiot. But they're funded by us.
Yeah.
And yes, I get they technically should have an agenda for the governing body of the country because they need to get the right message out. They need to not panic people. I do kind of get that. When it comes to elections, surely they might be pissing off their new bosses, right? Why do you think they have this agenda?
You said something a minute ago. You said that they're paid for by us, so they should act in our interests, basically, right? Mm-hmm. So is your government. Do they act in your best interests? No.
Of course.
So there was a James Bond film years ago, and it was a media mogul that he was basically using media to, I forget the film, but the premise was that he owned all these media firms, newspapers, all the rest of it, and the level of power that gave him, right? If you've got any sort of battle throughout history, the first thing they try and do is get the high ground, right? Media is the high ground of the modern age. If you control mass media, you control all the messages. Look at Russia. When they invaded Ukraine, they shut down all the news channels other than the ones that matter to them. They firewalled all the other shit. If you control the narrative, you control the population. So if you control mainstream media, you control the narrative and the message, and everything you say is true, and the other guy's a wank, right? That's basically how it works. And that's the circle of shit that we're currently going round in this merry-go-round. The mass media, as it stands, is generally controlled, and you're drip-fed the narrative of the time. Whichever message that is, right, that's what you're being fed. So it's incumbent on us to look about on whatever platform we can, try and gather enough things that we think's right, and talk about it, which is what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely. The YouTube revolution. The celebrity
censor all of us.
Until they censor all this. Don't forget,
They're working on that. They're talking about it all the
Nerd
time.
and Brian have both made sure this stream doesn't get monetized. So donations and
I mean, if you're not subscribed to UKUP, you really ought to be.
There you go. There you go. See, am I starting to sound like popular British preppers if I ask for donations often enough?
You know what? I mean, people out there don't have any concept of how much time it takes out of your day to do anything on YouTube. Like even just talking, recording it, and like re-uploading it and running a YouTube channel and making content for a channel, it takes a shit ton of time.
We should get paid off YouTube, not the people, off YouTube, just for the amount of grief we have to put up with from the other halves for the amount of time we spend doing YouTube. Go on, Brian.
See on something Ration there just said the other now. And you get accused of all sorts of shit as well. I'd commented on Steve's video earlier on about basically a guy got his head lopped off in Edinburgh yesterday.
I unfortunately saw it, yeah.
Right. So it was basically being run over by a small sort of bus, and a 74-year-old man tragically lost his life and his head, right? So Steve had put up a video. Sorry?
I said, oh no.
Yeah, it's worse than that as well. People thought it was fake because it was Halloween and they were picking it up, then they realised it was real and they dropped it. So Steve had put up a video, and it was a good video, and he believed that there might have been something more into it than what it was, right? Turns out it wasn't. But I'm discussing it with a guy on his channel going, look, it was an accident. Accidents happen. Not everything's sinister. Forensics is normal. Somebody's lost their fucking head. Yeah, the police will shut down the streets so that the police officers investigating it don't get fucking run over. And it's a busy part of town. But no, this asshat was arguing that no, I'm just trying to manipulate people and tell lies because obviously somebody cut his head off, right? Dude, you get run over. But that's the sort of shit that you get, and you've got to try and get through.
Yeah. It's the lies are not just mainstream media. We have the trolls on YouTube to give us that perspective all the time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you guys, I am going to do an emails to Ration Nerd episode one time. And look, I do not do politically motivated content, right?
No.
It's just about rations and just for fun. You would not believe some of the fucking emails I get from people. It's absolutely crazy.
I feel left out. I feel like I need to get more hate. I get the trolls, but nobody takes the time to email me abuse.
Oh no, like I've got some really fucking abusive emails for people, and I usually just laugh my ass off. Because there's another really popular YouTuber that is like the king of ration reviews. I don't care, right? Like I'm not trying to be him, and I'm not. Look, he's got like 1.7 million subscribers. I'm like nothing, right? I've got 1,500 subscribers. I don't really care, but I get so much fucking hate from those people. It's not even funny. It's hysterical. I am going to do like a emails to Ration Nerd episode because you guys are going to love it because there's some really crazy shit people have sent me on email.
I can't wait for that one. And if you want to email me some abuse, it's ukurbanprepper@gmail.com. There we go.
I'll get on that.
Mate, I get it easy. I'm married for 30 years. I get abuse whether I want it or not.
Right?
And I'm not talking whips and chains, not in a good way.
Guys, I'm very aware that this subject's a long subject. So if you have to go at any point, then just feel free to let me know and jib out because I've still got a list like this long.
Well, let's go, man. Come on, get it. Let's get it on.
If you press for time, then just let me know. Part of the media is the celebrity factor. And I think we've seen this more this election than we've ever seen before. You've got Trump with people like Kanye West, Elon Musk, Ted Nugent, etc., calling out for him. Kamala with Taylor Swift, Oprah Winfrey, even Snoop Dogg, and people like that. I hate it. I really hate it because you've just turned me off half of your films because your political view. I really think it shouldn't be done. But how much sway do the celebrities have? Do you think? I'll go to you first, Brian. How much sway do you think celebrities have in something like this, especially with younger people?
Well, a lot. It depends how how relative they are at the time. If you've got somebody that's in mainstream media, whether it's in films or music videos or whatever, then they'll be more relatable to the crowds that they're trying to get across to. But let's be honest, show business, right, and politics, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the comments. It's the same industry. It's using a platform to get your message across that's largely lies and fantasy. Whether it's show business or politics, it's the same gig. But how well the artists will get that across will largely depend on how much airtime they're getting. If you've got somebody from the 70s, right, who was a singer, then they ain't going to add shit to it. If you've got somebody that's up in the charts or whatever, or done lots of relatable movies now, then yeah, they're worth having.
Yeah. Russian, how much sway do you think they have? Do you think it's just a given and people take it with a pinch of salt, or could they tip the balance?
I mean, unfortunately, it really goes to how educated that particular individual is. Anybody with half a brain in their head knows better than to give two shits what an actor or an entertainer thinks about the president of the United States. They are 10 times removed from my reality.
Yeah.
An actor or a popular singer, artist, whatever, all these people have more money than I'll ever have, more, individual freedom, and just the ability to live like this lavish, rich lifestyle. That changes their perspective so dramatically different than mine. Yeah. So I think anybody that has a brain in their head knows better. Like, I don't care who it is that's standing up for whatever candidate. It makes no difference. But once you start to come down the intelligence gradient, like, that's when it starts to matter, in my opinion.
Yeah. Brian, you wanted in?
But mate, you've got like 1,500 subscribers on YouTube. That means you've gotten all this free stuff and millions of pounds flung at you, because that's the sort of shit that I get told. Right?
Well, absolutely. I actually forgot to put my Trump sign up back here. I mean, I really screwed up, right? And then I have I've got like a McDonald's sign that was supposed to go over here. Yeah. Sorry,
don't, because he'll pull up the Pepsi can. I knew it,
mate. I don't know what you mean about product placement or the smooth, tasty, sparkly texture.
It was great. Like, everybody thinks I sponsor these guys. I've gotten several hate mails about this bottle of water, and I have a Ration Nerd secret. This is the same fucking bottle since the very first video. I happen to have it, and I have a Berkey water filter that I refill because my Berkey water filter spits out cleaner water than this commercially packaged garbage. It's just a fucking bottle. Like, I literally got several emails claiming that I am pimping Smart Water. Like, well, no, because I just used the bottle and I've used it. I have like 60 videos up. This bottle is 60 plus videos. Sorry, I had to bring that up.
If you're watching this, the CEOs of Smart Water, Ration Nerd wouldn't be averse to pimping
right?
Smart
Yeah,
Water.
right.
Just get into
He's cracking a new can. Nice.
So should they do it is the question, Ration Nerd. Should celebrities be involved at this level? I mean, for me, I feel like it's got to damage their career more than do good, right? Because either way, whichever way you look at it, you're alienating 50% of your audience, right?
I mean, a lot of times it's an echo chamber, right? Like, if let's say you're really like here, if you're really into Clint Eastwood's a big Republican. That's been out there for many, many years. So that's an echo chamber for anybody that buys into a Clint Eastwood commercial promoting a Republican president, right? It's an echo chamber. You already like Clint Eastwood. You already like his politics. You're glad that Clint Eastwood is endorsing. It doesn't really make a difference. I think, I really think, should they be able to do it? No, I don't think it matters. There's no way we're going to be able to stop that. Mm-hmm. Like I said, really, you're going to have to be pretty unintelligent to if you really care what Beyonce or whatever, insert popular rock star or media person here, actor, whatever, if you really give a shit what your favorite actor thinks, and that's going to swing your vote for president,
Yeah.
maybe you shouldn't have a vote.
Yeah, he's on a different tax band to you. Just bear that in mind.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Brian, is it honest though, or is it money/media motivated when these celebrities do the endorsements? How much of it do you think is their personal opinion? Because I mean, I love Star Wars and Indiana Jones, but I've just watched Harrison Ford do one. I've just watched the video, and it's clearly him looking down at a teleprompter reading. Like it's terrible acting from a fabulous actor.
Well, there's a few questions in there, right? Is it honest? No. Which part of this that we've been discussing for the last hour and a half even is remotely honest about anything to do? It's all lies. I refer to my previous statement about professional paid liars.
Yeah.
That being said, whether you're a multimillionaire or a successful actor, you've got an opinion, right? Now, unless they're getting paid for it, in which case their opinion's worth shit to me, if they want to use their platform and have their voice heard, right, because they genuinely believe in it, I don't have a big problem with that. Because let's be honest, if it was any us three here and we believe passionately about something, you would use your voice to do the same if you genuinely believed it, right?
Yeah.
However,
I should have done. I will do it the next election. Go on.
If they do believe it, that's fine. If they're getting a payday for it or try to remain relevant themselves, then fuck that guy.
Well, this is it. Yeah. Now is the time. Said 50 Cent was offered $1 million to sing at a Trump rally. He refused to take sides. I like that. Didn't refuse it because it was Trump or because it was Kamala. He just said refused to take
Wasn't
sides.
enough money. $1 million to him is like a drop in the bucket. What are you talking about? It's like me digging in my change jar. Like, oh yeah, I got a handful of change. Jingle, jingle, jingle. $1 million of that guy.
This is the one that went bankrupt and then posted pictures of a money table after he went bankrupt, right?
And he did not go bankrupt. He had a house that he got rid of because it had like 75 rooms or something like that, and there's some rooms he never even saw. Yeah, whatever.
Celebrity endorsement has never influenced my decision on anything, sometimes quite the opposite. Yeah, this is a thing. I feel like it would damage their careers more than it would influence
because
my
you, sir, let me get it right. You, sir, have a brain, and we thank you for having a brain.
There we go. We don't judge or critique the way your brain votes, but just having a brain is a good start.
On that note, just what we're talking about there, even what we're doing tonight, we might say something that triggers, you don't like it, you find it offensive or it annoys you.
Email
Or it might.
Yeah,
email him. He loves that sort of shit.
Oh, I love it.
That may well give you you may well be motivated to go and find out for yourself. That's all this is. This chat, three people wasting your time tonight and having a general chat about absolute bollocks. It's only to make you think and get your voice heard in the chat and go make up your own mind. The politics shit that they're doing is the same.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, anything that gets people talking about it and voting is good in my eyes.
Yeah, and I agree. It's really hard. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's really hard just for anybody that's watching. It's really hard not to just share your opinion. This would be a really boring conversation if we were just stating facts and not interjecting our own opinions. You would have already been like drooling with your head down on the table by now or switched off. So enjoy the opinions, folks. That's what you're here for. Don't forget to tip your waiter.
Yeah. I just enjoy the conversation. You know when I'm gonna get political or have a little rant, because I go from looking at you guys on my screen to looking at the camera and talking to you.
Somebody's just put in the chat, I've already sent Ration there 4 angry emails since I got here.
Thanks.
You have some catching up to do after this.
That's excellent. Don't worry, you'll probably be on that episode of Emails to Ration Nerd. So
there you go. Get yourself featured now. Send some reviews. So the results, if the polls are wrong, and one candidate has a clear lead over the other, the results will obviously be within hours, but usually it's close run, it's a nail biter, it runs all the way into the next day and possibly
it's
2
not
days.
going to be clear. It's not.
No,
I hate to burst anybody's bubble. This is going to be a very convoluted, very nonsensical election. It's going to be
6
days
million
after the
recounts.
election. Yep, it's going to be crazy. Oh, we just happened to find 30,000 boxes of voting ballots that all are magically have the same handwriting and are voting for Kamala Harris. And well, wait a minute, there's only 80,000 people in that county, and now you have how many? 120,000 votes. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Remember, guys, this is non-biased, straight down the middle ration nerd.
I mean, look, to be fair, I really am. I mean, I'm just talking about the shenanigans that are going on.
Yeah.
I mean, just because I would rather see Trump get elected doesn't mean that I'm a storm trumper, because I'm not. Like, if there was a Democrat up there that actually made sense, that was actually going to lower taxes, that wasn't going to just allow people to pour across the border, they had good common sense, I don't care whether they're a Democrat, whether they're a Republican, whether they're a libertarian. It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah,
Just have the best interest of the people at heart.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it really does sound like I'm a Republican, because the only candidate we have right now that makes any sense is Trump.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. And when it comes to election time, if somebody ticks the box and somebody doesn't, you are going to support them, and you're probably going to be passionate about your points. I've got like 3 major policies that no party covers all 3. But if a new party popped up tomorrow, the Monster Raving Loony Party Mark II, and said these 3 policies, they would get my vote, because that's where I politically stand personally. It's never been a party thing. Every single election, I go on Vote for Policies, which is a website where it'll tell you the issue, it'll tell you 4 solutions, and you tick one. It doesn't say who said it, doesn't say whose they are, and at the end it says you're 70% Conservative, 20% Labour, etc. So it tells you what you are just based on your opinions. And I do that every single year. I don't use it as gospel. If it's 50-50, I use my own, decisions, but it's still a really good, it makes you think more, you know what I mean? It makes you look at candidates that you might not have looked at. So it is a cool thing. I'm going to flip-flop onto what you mentioned about the vote rigging and stuff like that, because that was a bit further on, but I'm going to go to it because you've mentioned it. The conspiracy theories are obviously galore at every election, right? Dead people voting, machines.
It's not conspiracy theories, but
I know. I've called it that for the sake of the discussion. But the machines that Simpsons predicted, where you click on one and the other one ticks the box, and stuff like all these different things that have roots in truth. So I'll say conspiracy theories for the sake of argument, but yeah, definitely have roots in truth. How much of it is truth at this stage? If it's getting called up so much, how much tampering with the results can they actually get away with, is the question, Ration Nerd.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends state to state. So, the more liberal a state is, the more, magical ballots you'll have showing up. And there were so many irregularities in the 2020 election, like literally counties that had tens of thousands more votes than they had registered voters in the county. Mm-hmm. So that is absolutely just crazy. I mean, we literally had a computer server station here in the United States that magically exploded due to a camper or like an RV parked outside. There was excessive video of this where the police are calmly walking people away from a RV, like a recreational vehicle camper that has a fucking bullhorn on top of it that's saying, "This vehicle is going to explode. This vehicle is going to explode." This is something out of like the worst B movie I've ever seen. But this is live fucking footage where the police are calmly walking people away from a vehicle that is full of explosives. I mean, calmly? I don't care if I'm an officer of the law and I'm protect and serve and all that. I'm gonna be like, move that ass. You move that ass and you move it faster, because I don't want to blow up either. So how in the hell are you calmly walking down the street 25, 30 feet away from a vehicle that's chock full of explosives. There's been so many crazy things that have gone on here. And that was just in 2020.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind we're going to see more of that. And the reports of election irregularities, and that it wouldn't bother me if Kamala won in an honest, fair election.
Yeah.
Like it would suck, right? I mean, I think her policies are garbage. The people backing her are garbage. She's just garbage. It would suck if she won. But if she won legitimately in an honest vote, well, hey man, we got to drop back and punt, figure out how to do this again in 4 years when, you know, she's up for re-election, right?
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. They don't lose fairly. They don't win fairly either. It's just all these crazy irregularities, all these things that happen around the country, and it is it's maddening. Absolutely maddening. Like it should be the will of the people, period. And if we as a collective make the wrong decision, then we made the wrong decision and we have to live with it for 4 years. But we don't get that. We don't get that anymore. We don't get the opportunity for it to be the will of the people. It's the will of them, like whoever the fuck is running this nonsensical show.
Yeah. Brian, the other conspiracy side of things is always foreign aided support and influence. We've seen this because, like you said before, Labour, somebody in the comments said before, Labour have supported Kamala by sending hundreds of people over there to campaign for her. I mean, that's how much does foreign influence have on it, do you think? How much do you think that's going to affect? And what's the knock-on effect for us with that?
Foreign actors have been a thing, Christ, for centuries, right? Whether it's camels with merchants giving out free fucking blankets to get their own way or whatever, there's always going to be some way of motivating a vote to go the way you want. Nowadays, it's largely electronic, mass media manipulation, get your narrative across. So,
yeah,
Labour in the 60s, Soviets wanted a left-leaning government, and it was anti-nuclear, all the rest of it, dismantle the West from the inside out. That's a more recent example. So this isn't anything new. If anybody believes that Russia, China, all of the above aren't manipulating votes in the UK and in America, they're out of their minds. Of course they are.
Yeah. Ration Nerd on the Russia and China thing, but do they even know who they want in power? Who's better for them?
Oh, I think they do. You know, Trump presidency is not going to be good for them and their agenda. It's just not. You know, he's just way stronger of a head of state than Biden was or Kamala will be. I'm not saying Kamala's not a war hawk, because I think she is. I think she's whoever has their hand up her ass and is puppeting her is a war hawk.
Yeah.
But I agree. There's always been foreign interference in countries all over the world. I just think that that's not the biggest factor at play here in the United States. Foreign money, foreign intervention, it happens everywhere. The fact of the matter is that's not where our problem is here right now. Our problem is that we don't have an honest or fair election system that can easily be monitored by we the people. That's the real problem. Whether or not Russia or China want whoever to be the president doesn't make any difference, because it's so screwed up that it's like pissing in the ocean or throwing gas on a fire. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Yeah, if we had an honest and fair election, maybe it would be a bigger point. But it's so screwed up right now, doesn't matter if anybody tries to get involved in it.
Sometimes it feels like it's already written, it's already filmed, it's already wrapped, and we're just waiting for the release date, right? Like the election's they already know the results. We're just waiting for it.
Yep.
Right. We're nearly at the end. We're nearly at the end. I've got the handover of power, which is on the 20th of January. I know we've discussed this before, Russian Nerd. They're saying now the National Guard's going to be put on alert for potential troubles. How do you see? Do you see something like the storm of the Capitol happening again, regardless of who's winning?
I guess there's always that potential. Yeah, people on both sides of the argument, on both sides of the fence, are really pissed. I would tend to think that, or actually, I'm trying to be too politically correct. I'm just going to be honest. The lefties are the ones that have created all this violent horseshit here. Like all the Antifa people and all the, wannabe communists and all that horseshit. They're the ones that were out there burning shit down. If you look at Chop and Chaz, the little mini failure cities they were setting up, it's all a bunch of leftist nonsense.
Yeah.
If conservative or right wing or whatever, if those people decided to get violent, it'd be really serious. It would be bad. Like all the lefties that like to go down and like burn shit down and have a good reason to like steal tennis shoes or some shit like that. That's very destructive and
destroying Greg's the bastards.
Yeah, right. I mean, but the conservatives, if they went out in force, specifically intending to do violence, it would be a much different scenario. I'm not particularly worried about leftist violence if Trump gets in office, because it'll be a bunch of Antifa-tards out there doing their regular, breaking down the windows of the shops that they go to on a regular basis because they're probably living in the city. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that civil war is not a possibility. It totally is. I mean, I guess it is every day of the week, right? Even when it's not election season, I guess it's a possibility. I just don't think it's very probable. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm not, because that would be really destructive and it would suck.
You're doing a wonderful job right now of taking me nicely onto my next points. Brian, have you seen the film Civil War?
Yes, it's shite.
Yeah. Regardless of what you think of it. American preppers are preparing for election day, right? We've seen it on all their channels. They're preparing for election day. It's the end of the world. They've killed us 6 times, as they always do. Brian lovingly calls me Canadian Mikey at times now, because when I do any videos like this.
Well, that's a kick. That's a kick in the teeth right there.
It's only when I say things like, "Don't forget, you can join the channel for $2.99 a month." But
I keep him honest.
Okay.
It is. He's my grounding. The film Civil War portrays a breakdown of the trust in government institutions, increasing grassroots movements, with different groups taking extreme stances on issues such as civil war rights, governance, and social justice. As protests and clashes become more frequent, the situation spirals out of control, ultimately resulting in armed conflict. Does the film serve as a cautionary tale, Brian? Is that, despite what you think of how it was filmed and how it was shot and the end results of it, how it started, I think, is always more interesting. There was a comedy film. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, any of you guys in the comments. It was done quite a long time ago, and it was called Second Civil War.
No.
Right? And it was about a governor that was seceding, and it was all the political side of it and the brinksmanship and the build up to it. And despite being like a black comedy, it's thought provoking in that way. If you've not seen it, go and search for it. It's a hard one to find. It's called Second Civil War. It's not quite a B movie. It's got kind of them celebrities where you look at them and go, I know him. You've definitely seen him in something, but you don't know his name. But how accurate do you think it is for the build-up, Brian, when we've seen stuff like what happened with the Capitol building at the last election?
I don't think that will be allowed to happen. A lot of people didn't do their fucking jobs properly in the first place for that to ever happen, right? Had people in responsibility for civil protection, police force, state police, all that kind of good stuff, had they been doing their jobs, that shit would never have happened in the first place. Now, they were either incompetent and asleep at the helm, right? Or they were actively encouraging and supporting it. Take your pick, because they're the only 2 possibilities that there.
Yeah.
You know? That's it. So hopefully there's a lesson learned, and we've got rid of the incompetent assholes who permitted it to happen in the first place.
Not likely.
Or worse than that, you've put in a roadmap to this. You've made a film called Civil War off the backstop of what happened in the Capitol. Now, is it a lesson to learn or an act to follow? Could be either, right?
Mm.
How likely is it to happen? Depends on how well the media portrays the results. If you've got everybody in the house waking up in the States in the morning of the election, and you've got videos, whether it's real or AI generated, of your candidate or their candidate, ballot boxes start bursting into flames or anything else, people will believe what they want to believe, whether it's true or not. So I think the portrayal of what happens, the result, will dictate what actually happens. And then if people do their jobs, then the ill effects will be mitigated. If people that are supposed to be doing their jobs actively encourage it or enable it, we could have a fucking problem.
Yeah. So, Ration Nerd, you mentioned the Second Civil War. Have you seen the film, the Civil War?
I have, and he's right. It's shite, as he says.
We're teaching you English.
Yeah, there's no. The problem is that there's no demarcation line this time around, like we had North and South, and anybody that was on the fence kind of got pushed into a side because of geography. Now it's urban, because most of your leftists, your lefty, your super Democrats are in very urban areas. And now I'm not saying there's not conservatives or just straight up down the middle people mixed in. Yeah. But the fight would literally be urban versus suburban. And that is a clusterfuck. Like an absolute clusterfuck. Could you imagine like the cities where a lot of these, more left-leaning people live? Where are they going? Like one county at a time, going to go out and like raid or something? Like there's no line of scrimmage. Like there's nowhere to fight this battle except for everybody's backyard. So that would make for a really complicated, absolute clusterfuck of a scenario.
Yeah, it's scary, and it's kind of, that's what disappointed me about the film. I don't think they kind of explained that, of how that would work. It just all of a sudden went from a few news reports to, oh look, we're storming a Capitol building with mounted machine guns.
And look, let me just throw it out there, and I'm going to get you further demonetized, so I apologize for this. You know that retard in the red glasses in the movie?
Yep. He's on the thumbnail. He's on the thumbnail for this.
Right. Okay. I would be that guy, but I wouldn't be like the racist retard. Everybody that drove by in with a press badge on, that would be my gig. They'd be like, which press are you with? Oh, I didn't know there was more than one. Oh, okay. Well, here, get over in this ditch. Bang. Gotcha. So yeah, that would be me. That would be my role. Like, I need to go out and get a pair of big red sunglasses so I can be that guy. CNN, up in the ditch. Bang. MSNBC, oh my God, give me a knife first. Let me stab him a few times, then throw him in the ditch and shoot him. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm really looking forward to Civil War 2.0. That's going to be my job. I'm not fighting on either side. I'm just taking out the mainstream media. That's my job.
After this video, we're on a fucking watch list now. Sure as shit.
Like we weren't already.
I'm going to have an ice cream van sitting outside my front door for the next 3 months that doesn't sell any cones.
I was just talking about my new Minecraft server. What are you talking about?
Don't forget, everything we say on this channel is all theoretical, and it's all entertainment purposes only.
That's right.
See, the premise, though, of that whole war, all it would take would be for one state. So say you had a really, really liberal state that decided, well, fuck that guy, we're going to reenact these laws at the local level, and people felt so strongly on this side and that side of the state, somebody makes a miscalculation and pew-pew starts happening. It's not that much of a stretch, really, when you think just how many incompetent fucktards are promoted into levels of law enforcement and everything else. It's not a big stretch.
Nope.
No,
Well, see, then you get the, like, let's say if you even had two sides in one state, but you're bordered by other states. So, like, if you actually were able to draw some kind of battle line, like, from, here's this side, here's that side, then you have to worry about, is like the next state over going to join? And is whoever's coming up behind you, are they on your side or not on your side? And how do you tell?
And then this is where your potential agitators would come into it. Say you had then infiltrated people from North Korea, China, whatever, and they decided the two sides have faced off, two states with diametrically opposed opinions, right? And somebody want to stir the shit, for want of a better word, starts plugging people with a 50 caliber who's got a bullhorn and saying disperse the crowd. Nobody's going to give a shit who shot him. Once that first head disappears in a pink mist, shit's going to kick off, and it'll be too late to decide, well, actually, it was a puff of smoke in the grassy knoll or whatever. That's out the window. If you're an agitator and a motive subject,
window.
Yeah, that's all it would take.
It's all going to be fog of war at that point.
You've got a confusing election result, a state that's getting something forced on them, like the abortion issue. They fundamentally disagree with it. Police forces on both sides of the state face off. A state agitator decides to start stirring shit and plugging people. That's not a big stretch.
Nope. And to be fair, there's been enough industrial sabotage going on here. I mean, look, and let's be fair, I am making a informed speculation. Okay. We have had more train derailments, more industrial accidents in the last couple years than I think in, I don't know, maybe in any time in our history. So when you look at all these food plants that were just like burst into flames, trains with, for like FPEV or whatever they are, forever nasty chemicals, flying off of the railroad tracks, and just all the crazy shit that has been going on here in this country. That's like fourth generation warfare shit. We're already in the middle of it. And if we as the US don't have a handle on that and can't shut that shit down, that could spark things even worse, because you already have a politically tense time. Let's say people are just right on the fucking edge of wanting to throw down with their political opponent because Kamala gets in office or fucking Trump gets in office, and then you cut the fucking power. What do you think happens then?
Yeah, definitely hits the fan. I'm guessing on your mainstream media, you haven't seen anything about a fire in the UK in the recent weeks.
Me too, that one. Yeah.
Nope.
Go ahead then, Brian. What to explain to Ration Nerd what he's missed on the mainstream media for the UK?
So the UK's main nuclear deterrent will be the Vanguard and the Astute boats. And the new generation of missile boats is the Dreadnought class, which has been built in a place called Barrow in Furness. So health and safety culture, permits to work, all that sort of shit. It caught fire at 12:05 last week. Just poof, magic, just caught fire. Now, even if it was in such a tightly controlled place with all these people doing their jobs diligently, and it just happened to catch fire, right? You would never hear the result. If somebody did it, a state sponsor did it, right? You still wouldn't hear the result. So you'll never know who actually caused the fire, where it was malicious or just a fuck up. But when you put on the back of that, we've had warehouse fires in the UK that have just mysteriously happened, that happen to be logistics hubs. We've had DHL who have incendiary bombs put in their planes that caught fire before the plane was in the air because it'd been delayed. We've got Lithuania, Poland and Germany, warehouses catching flames, bursting into flames. We've either got a lot of bad smoke alarms or somebody's getting a bit naughty with a lighter. So you tell me what's the truth.
Yeah,
that's industrial espionage. That's industrial espionage.
For it to be
that's
a
fourth generation warfare.
Yeah, for it to be like a nuclear-based facility like that's a part of our deterrent. How that's not mainstream news everywhere is just shows how much censorship there is about it.
If you've got a fire in the home, sorry mate, on you go.
No, go ahead, man.
I was going to say, if you've got a fire in your home, the fire department will come in, and within a couple of days or hours, they'll be able to see from the flame where it propagated from the plug socket, the smoke damage. They'll be able to tell you, sure as shit, within a very short space of time, what caused it, at least to a localized area. They might not be able to say it was this circuit that overloaded, but they could certainly point out where the ignition point was. We've heard nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. It's.
I mean,
it's,
look,
it's
we just had a really bad storm here that ripped through, North Carolina, and I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, Eastern Tennessee. And man, the federal response to that was so poor, just so absolutely fucking ridiculously poor. And we have FEMA over here, the Federal Emergency Management assholes, and they couldn't manage their way out of a fucking wet paper bag. So, and the weird thing is that where these storms hit, it's a once in a one. And this is diving off on the conspiracy end. So if you don't have any tinfoil, you might want to get you some. But this was a once in 100-year storm, and it happened to have been like centered over a shit ton. There you go. It happened to be centered over a shit ton of lithium mining areas that they've been trying to buy out from under these people for a long time, and they wouldn't sell. And the weird thing is, I did see something on the storm track. These storms moved in the wrong fucking direction across the mountains.
Okay.
So that's not something I'm going to speak to like I'm some kind of storm expert, but the way they laid it out made perfect sense. The way the jet stream moves and this, that, and the other, the storm should have moved basically from, I guess it was something like, they should, just for an example, they should have moved from like northwest to, southeast is a track that they always go, never deviate from that. And they went the opposite fucking direction. So there's just some crazy shit going on this planet. Now, whether that was natural or whether it was planned or manipulated, there's certainly some goofy shit going on, the likes that we have not seen.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. So
have you seen the stuff that happened in Spain just last week?
The floods.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Funnily enough, their emergency response has been poor. The King of Spain turned up today, and they were pelting with mud to evac him. It was that bad. People were so emotive. There's hundreds of people missing, hundreds of people dead. But we've got another freak weather outburst and a lot of dead bodies and a poor response from a civil response element side of things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of commonalities here in a very short space of time.
Absolutely. It's crazy. I think we're all being played. We're all being played really hard, and it sucks.
We are but actors. Not even actors, we're extras. We don't get paid.
God damn it, I don't even rate for a cameo. Don't they know I have a YouTube channel? Fuckers.
No, we're all YouTube millionaires, remember? As soon as you've got more than 500 subs, you're accepting bribes and donations from everywhere, according to our trolls. Right. Anyway, that's an issue for Ration Nerd fan mail. That damn smart water. Put your Pepsi down. I'm gonna have to find something. There you go. Amped Nutrition. This is my own company. There you go. I can do a plug. Amped Nutrition.
What does that say? Mike's patented anal lube. What the fuck?
Testosterone boost. It's similar. No.
Is that legitimately your product?
That is legitimately my product. Yes, that's Amped Nutrition.
Nice.
Yeah. But I don't do the plugs. That's why it's never been on the channel. But you guys forced me into it. Right. So I'm really conscious of time, and I'm going to get a grilling after this. But I did say to everyone we'd touch on the UK, so that's what we need to do. So I'm just going to rattle off a few things, how the US election could affect the UK. Then I'll go to you guys and see what you think about how it could affect foreign policy. So NATO and defense, a shift in US foreign policy could impact NATO commitments on defense and spending. Visa policies, obviously changes to US immigration might affect British citizens traveling or living or wanting to emigrate to the US. Market reactions for the election can lead to fluctuations in global markets that we know, which we've seen. Economic stability, the outcome can influence global economic conditions affecting UK markets and investment decisions. Trade agreements, of course, changes to US trade policy could affect UK exports and imports. So there's lots of like official routes where this, hang on, this is so uncomfortable. Scratching the hell out of me. There's so many different points, like legitimate points that you can find anywhere in the media, how this could affect us. What do you think, Brian? Should people in the UK be paying close attention to the US election? Is it that, or is it a case of what we do with our own election, bury our head in the sand and worry about the football instead?
I think from a practical point of view, given that we're all peppers here are trying to be, you should always be aware of what's going on in the world, because the ripple effect, if you put a little stone and a pebble in a pond over here, all that shit's going to impact on you eventually. So let's say, for talk's sake, Trump gets in and he's going to fix the Ukraine crisis overnight. What would that look like to us? I think that would actually look like something along the lines of, he'll say, right, you're going to give him that amount of territory, you're going to take it, Putin, and fuck off. And if you don't take it, we're going to give him even more shit and take the gloves off and let Ukraine actually shoot back. Right, Ukraine, if you don't give him that territory, we're going to stop giving you money and bullets. I think that's what his solution is probably going to be overnight. NATO don't even meet their own spending policies. We don't even meet it, or very few do. The one thing Trump did do last time that I liked, he said, hang on, I'm putting American troops and money on the line to save you guys, and you won't even fund it yourselves. No, that stops. I totally agreed with that. I think that's a great, I totally agree with him. That would have a major effect on NATO and the Western allies in general. China's watching, North Korea's watching, Iran's watching. They're all waiting to see who they think is going to be best to push, manipulate, or make moves in the sides. The whole world's watching this election.
How much do you think it affects foreign policy, Rash and Nerd? Because I mean, Trump gets a bad rep on some of it, and they always reference his little Rocket Man tweets. But on the exactly the same subject, he was the first president to cross the demarcation line, sit down with a North Korean, and have a discussion. So how much does who gets in power affect the rest of the world outside of the US bubble?
I mean, because of the Bretton Woods Agreement, it affects a lot of people. But that very well could be coming to an end with BRICS coming online, and that's a big issue. And that's a really big deciding factor for the US when BRICS comes online and we lose the power of the Bretton Woods Agreement. That's going to be huge. So, unfortunately, we are linked together. Unfortunately, what happens here does affect your country and a lot of others. And I think it goes both directions. Like if you're, if you guys get a prime minister in that just completely shits all over the US or whatever, it's certainly going to have an impact on us.
He shits on his own citizens. That's fine.
Well, yeah. I mean, the reality of it is we're all so interlinked that yes, it does have a big impact. And Scottish Prepper is absolutely right. There are a lot of people watching to see who gets elected. I think my personal opinion is you're going to see a ramping up of China aggression towards Taiwan. You're going to see the Ukraine conflict continue and get worse for Ukraine if you have a Kamala presidency, because she's already just following the same nonsense that Biden was following. And that's gotten us nowhere as far as trying to put a stop to the Ukrainian conflict. They're all about that conflict continuing to rage on. Trump's not going to want that. He wants some peace and stability. So I think he's going to do his best to calm it down, which is why Russia's been pushing so hard recently to take more territory before the election, before Trump could potentially get in there and put the squash on it. Because you're right, he could get in there and say, listen, you're going to back the fuck off to here, like just like Scottish Pepper said. You know, that's exactly the way I call it too. He's going to say, you guys back off to here, you get to keep it, and everybody stops right now. Or like he said, we're somehow the United States has become more involved. And whether or not Russia bites on that, you know, that's a hell of a game of chicken to play. And unfortunately, we're all, like the three of us and all the people watching and all of our families, we are the ones that suffer for those consequences.
Yeah.
And that's the shitty part.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask Brian first, because we discussed this in our podcast, Ration Nerd, but could foreign countries take advantage of what seems to be the ultimate distraction at the moment with the US election? I mean, we've got all these fires happening and these industrial accidents happening. They're not in the mainstream media because it's obviously taken over completely by the US elections. So will China use that as an opportunity? Right, they're distracted, let's do this. Will North Korea do it? Like, they're distracted, let's do this. Do you think that's a possibility over the next, between now and the 20th of January?
It's already happened. It's already happening, and it will continue to happen. We've got North Korea deployed thousands of troops in active combat. The UK and American response to that was, stop that shit. Oh, okay, because that's worked in the past. Good call, fucker. So then we've also got China's went across the imaginary line in the water for the last 2 years. It's effectively put in area denial weapons like the DN-21 to limit carrier strike groups getting close to the coast and building their own flat tops. The answer to that was, stop that. Because this is really going to work. There's a lot of people going to take advantage. Iran's attacking Israel twice, right? Israel's attacking Iran. There's a lot of balls jumping in the air at the moment, and somebody's going to make a fucking mistake. There'll be a miscalculation, and somebody's going to get a bloody nose. So the answer to the question is, sorry, in a roundabout way, everybody's continuing to take advantage now, and they'll keep taking advantage.
Do you think the same thing, Ration Nerd? Do you think that, or even more so, would that advantage ever escalate to the point of poking the bear of the United States? I mean, we've seen Russian ships right off the coast, and the Biden administration too scared to really do anything. Do you think?
And totally not Chinese spy balloons.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Like totally not.
Did you just say balloons?
Yeah, I did. Totally not a Chinese spy balloon. Yeah, I mean, it was totally a Chinese spy balloon, for God's sake. I mean, yes, the answer to the question is they are actively taking advantage of the political nonsense, the chaos of the election, and they will continue to take advantage of it until they can't.
Yeah.
You know, once that spotlight is going away, then they'll back off. Because then they'll be front and center in, you know, mainstream news again. He's absolutely right. I mean, they're doing it now. They're going to continue to do it.
Yeah. Right. Well, there you go. This is how we roll, or don't roll. I think that comes to the end of it. I mean, I hope when we were never here, guys, to try and persuade you to vote one way or the other. We were just discussing.
I was.
Situation.
Fuck all you lefty liberals. Fuck you guys.
In general. But yeah, we're just discussing it because I do believe, despite me getting trolled saying I should stay away from politics, I do believe everything going on in the world affects how we prep, why we prep, and our timeline of prepping. So keeping an eye on that and keeping people informed in that is key to everything. I've said I'll never become a news channel of Day X World War III alert, but you know, it's good now and again to discuss these things to keep people...
make it.
But it's good to keep people kind of on that track and discuss these things as rational human beings that we are, that we like to think we are. So on the fireside, the last thing we like to do is give you guys some time. So Ration Nerd, the elevator pitch. What's going on? What is Ration Nerd? What is the channel all about? And what's next?
I mean, more of the same, man. I just like to review rations and have fun. And I don't take it too seriously. I like to just goof off and have a good time. If you have a sense of humor, and you like rations, come by the channel. I put some prepping content out a little bit, just for fun. Been prepping for a long time, so my content's just as probably goofy as my ration content, but I just have a good time. That's what the channel's all about. So that's it. That's my elevator pitch.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to see behind the set of Ration Nerd, and he's a very experienced, very well prepared human being. So go and check it out and take his advice. He's also believes to be a one-man galleon and a hail of gunfire if it ever came to it.
That's right. 40 black powder pistols, just
blaze of glory, definitely. Scottish Prepper 73, Brian, what's your channel all about, and what's next for you?
I swear too much, mate. That's what my channel's about. I've got to admit that. I must have Tourette's. I try and do things that I like and enjoy, videos that I like that I think other people might like. So I tend to go for technology preps and bugging in as the kind of starting point. And this week I've not really done much. I've been busy with work. Next week is going to be more of the same. I'm behind on videos, but I will try. And the next one should be on the Anchor C300, which I should have done last week, but I sort of didn't. And I've still got Augustine Farms shit to do reviews on as well. I've not done that either. So yeah, cool. I'm a terrible YouTuber.
But when the content's out, it's good content. That's what matters. So make sure you go and check out both of these guys and subscribe to their channels. I've always said since day one, this is all about building community. Whether I've got 100 subscribers or 1 million subscribers, I will constantly promote this community of people giving the right message out. And you should do the same and go and reward these guys with your bit of your time and attention. So that's about it. Would you like to say goodbye, Brian?
Goodbye, Brian.
Ration Nerd, would you like to say goodbye?
Eat them up, guys.
Eat them up. And from me, don't forget, like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that wonderful stuff. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.
Later, folks.
Water stored in jugs and tins, bunkered down through thick and thin. Maps and routes all drawn and laid, preppers live unafraid. At the prepper's fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night. In the glow of embers dance, we've prepared for every chance. Living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue.